Halo Infinite's going to be Unreal. I mean, running on Unreal. It's getting spicy, my friends. We already know the history of Halo Infinite. Microsoft / 343 invested a whole bunch of money. You got a game out the door a year late with just a really thin roadmap of content, and it's been kind of like bleeding blood from a stone, trying to get new content and experiences out of Halo Infinite. And then there were the layoffs, the cleaning of upper management, and now here we are today talking about one of the biggest shifts, I think, in Halo's history that will really define the next generation of Halo after Halo Infinite did not live up to expectations in really any meaningful way. Now, these rumors start a long way back before we get to the meat of of today's information. So I want to throw this out there because it's very tough, and having been in this position, it's very tough to come up with a large bit of news and then get downplayed by the community and then for it only to be real. So Sean W. and ACG back starting as early as September and potentially even earlier. I think Sean was one of the first, if not the first, talking about Halo Infinite might be going to Unreal, or Halo might be going to Unreal, and then the information cascaded, and then there was a bunch of confusion, and people weren't really sure what was going on, and now it sounds like the full narrative is finally coming out thanks to Jason over at Bloomberg, and this will be linked in the description below. Now keep in mind this is a paywalled article, but you should pay for good quality journalism. So Jason outlined what he believes, according to his sources, and I have no reason to disagree with this, what has been going on inside of 343 for the past several months here as the layoffs happened, as management was cleaned out, and now new management has been installed and shifts are starting to happen. So what it sounds like is that Slipspace is going the way of the dodo. And that is, if you've watched this channel for any meaningful amount of time, I even think even last week, I kept repeating the phrase that Slipspace was the Achilles heel of Halo Infinite and was really holding them back because you need to onboard people, they need to be educated on how Slipspace works, and you can't just go find one of the hundreds of shops out there who can provide support with Unreal. And it just became an ongoing challenge, and it sounds like they're finally cutting ties with Slipspace. Now, this doesn't mean things like Halo Infinite and Master Chief Collection are going away. They will, I would fully expect, continue to be supported, but I'm not expecting any major new titles or major new updates coming from Microsoft, or 343, I should say explicitly, that are going to be running on Slipspace. So if they're building a new game, it sounds like they're going straight to Unreal, which is going to be a huge maneuver. Now, I realistically do not believe in any part of my body that they're going to be bringing Unreal Halo Infinite content into Unreal. That would be a Herculean effort to try to blend these two engines, and it would just create more chaos, and there wouldn't be any value derived out of doing something like that, especially given the state that Halo Infinite is in. If Halo Infinite is going to survive, in my opinion, it still continues to be with Forge and a homegrown community supporting Forge and building out content in a unique way, and 343 hopefully supporting it from a provider perspective and making sure that those creators have what they need to really build out the Halo Infinite ecosystem. Now, that means that Halo's next title is going to be built on Unreal. Now, there were some layoffs. The number floated around is about 95 people, something like that, who were working on these sort of like side projects about what Halo Infinite could do and other things. But from what it sounds like, the next big title coming out of 343 is going to be, I believe it's pronounced Tatanka, at least that's how I say it in my head, and that has been the title that we've been hearing about, the rumored Battle Royale game that a certain Affinity, I believe, is joining 343 to help develop, and that this, I would fully expect to be based on Unreal Engine. Now, Jason goes on in his post and says, it has maybe expanded beyond a traditional Battle Royale. We will wait and see. I'm hoping the scope doesn't creep too much and that they're actually able to get out a title on time, but this will be super, super interesting to watch, because one of the reasons why back in the day I don't think Microsoft ever went to Unreal Engine is that Halo has this certain feel. It's sort of like a glossy, like smooth panning and scrolling feel to it that you don't quite get in Unreal. Now, it doesn't mean they couldn't make something that feels very similar to that in Unreal, but out of the box, they're going to have to do a lot of customization to make that feel come back. That is if they are going to try to keep that classic Halo style. Now, you might be saying, Brad, they have to keep it. That's what makes Halo Halo. Well, my friends, Halo Infinite would disagree, because if people truly just absolutely love that feel and didn't care about how Unreal felt otherwise, they would be playing Halo Infinite today, and as we all know, that is not the case. Realistically, I think it comes down to content is way more important than feel of how Halo Infinite should have been, or Halo, I should say, as a genre or a title should be going forward. So by going to Unreal, it is going to unlock a massive amount of opportunity for 343. First of all, Unreal Engine, the best analogy I can think of, it's the WordPress of game development. It is much easier to go out and get a shop that understands Unreal Engine than Nobody understands Slipspace unless you're 343 Direct or somehow Microsoft related. So bringing in talent, being able to scale up development is going to go so much faster because you don't have to train people on how the engine works. You don't have to train artists on how the engine works. You don't have to train narrators on how the engine. It's all people, generally speaking, understand how Unreal is in the industry, and it's just the common denominator that's going to allow them to develop faster, leaner, and more efficient games going forward, with the big pride-swallowing moment that they have to give up everything that they had developed with Slipspace. They're going to be throwing away a ton of money. What I will be super curious to see, and maybe this was part of what just happened, I'll be curious to see if Microsoft does a write-down on the investments actually made into Slipspace, right? They dumped a ton of money into what is Slipspace, only to get out of it something that's just not workable going forward, and that asset no longer has the value that Microsoft probably, I'm guessing, previously assigned to it, and so they need to, lower the valuation of that asset for tax and financial related purposes. That is way far down the balance sheet rabbit hole. But it's things that I love. So the question becomes, what will Microsoft do going forward? Actually, the bigger question for me is how long is it going to take them to build this Battle Royale style game? I wouldn't expect something right around the corner. Obviously, Microsoft has to put together plans, features, scopes, and how they're going to implement this, go to market. How does it integrate with Halo Infinite at all, if it does? And you can't just launch a game. You have to, aside from just building, it's I'll just build a battle royale on the existing maps. Well, here's a big question. Can they even use the existing maps from Halo Infinite? Because remember, they're written for a different engine. You can't just copy and paste a notepad.txt file over to Unreal and bada bing, bada boom. You've got the Halo Infinite maps. They're probably going to have to rebuild a lot of them, would be my guess. So if they're truly starting from scratch, which scratch is a relative term, because you're well, they already know what Master Chief looks like. They don't have to do that, Brad. It's not from scratch. You're lying. Either way, you guys know what I mean. The actual development foundation for Halo Infinite Battle Royale or Halo Royale, whatever it's going to be called, is going to be super interesting to watch. The other thing I'm wondering, just because I don't ever have a chip on my shoulder about this, I'm curious if Halo PR is just going to come out and call this a straight lie, only for it to happen and then be launched exactly as it's been rumored and prophesized for months now, because that's never happened to me. Either way, we'll see here. I think this is a big shift. I actually think this is the best thing ever that could happen to Halo. If you truly care about Halo, and not just Halo Infinite, but I mean Halo the brand, I think going to Unreal is going to be the best viable path forward for 343 and Microsoft to truly be able to build a game that people are going to want to play and that can scale and that can be updated rapidly and have a rich content pipeline. I think Unreal is the smart move. The question becomes, are they all in on multiplayer, or are we ever going to see a single player game again? As of right now, it looks like they're going all in on multiplayer. Maybe we'll get a campaign in the future. Maybe we won't. Maybe you should keep it subscribed here, because the only BS on this channel is me.